Hey guys, it's your boy Valdo, and just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on where traps are right now, but I also wanted to show you something really cool, something that I thought up, like a trickster type harness the void trapper. But first I want to just run through kind of the new nodes and some of the new stuff. So, first off, from what Ziggity showed us, they've changed all these trap nodes, or they've added trap nodes over the cast speed nodes, and they added a little middle section here for shadow, which is pretty cool. So that means starting traps is going to be quite powerful. And what's cool is these are just more nodes, and by that I mean if we go ahead and look here at this particular tree, instead of taking, say, Ellie, cast, and all this, what's cool is instead you'll get damage nodes. These are just increased damage, the first two. Um, and after those two increased damages, you'll get this node, and then you'll get three trap, or I'm sorry, you get to choose between trap and crit, and in the middle you get more trap nodes. And then you get, of course, a lot of these powerful early game trap nodes. So with Shadow, you'll be starting very bursty, quite a bit of damage. You've got this here, and the two in the middle. Now the two in the middle are more than just trap damage. They've actually given us some nodes that give us more traps, so additional traps. So, and I'm not sure what they're doing with the limit. They haven't quite told us yet. But it's kind of a big deal because having a more higher trap limit, of course, with the more traps being in the game and higher trap throwing speed being achievable, this is kind of a big deal. So one more trap's kind of serious. Um, but beyond that, I guess the next thing we've got is the flamethrower trap was revealed to us. I'm gonna kind of skim over this because it's not a very big deal. We already knew what this was. It's just kind of its level 20 variant. So as you can see, lots of damage, base duration, cast speed, and all that. One thing about this trap that Ziggy told us that I was kind of surprised about is that apparently it cannot hit more than 10 times a second or something of that nature. Long story short, he was telling us that cast speed on flamethrower trap isn't a big deal, and it can't really push it too far, which is kind of strange because it doesn't say it here if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, kind of cool, but really not the focus of the traps that I'm. This is like the cool. This is not my favorite trap. It's kind of cool, but it looks a little bit corny. But whatever. Moving on to the advanced traps, which was it's new. This is new stuff. So I was saying earlier about this one getting changed, and it was changed in a very interesting way. So advanced trap support is obviously geared towards our uber traps, super traps, advanced traps, whatever you want to call them, are 8-second cooldown traps. So the cooldown recovery speed for traps is there. It is literally half of what it was. It was 49% at level 20, but now it's 25%. I don't know if that scales. I doubt that scales. But the reason for this is because the rest of these mods are quite nice. Increased skill effect duration. Now this actually interestingly enough, this actually has a quite an impact on a lot of other skills that it wasn't intended for, but this is pretty cool. And then 34% increased trap throwing speed. So the trap throwing speed is supplementary to having to throw an additional trap. I think GGs have their eyes open and they see that, why give them more traps to throw if they want to throw one? With this particular mod, it now allows you to throw multiple traps, so that's pretty cool. Another cool thing these affect is skill effect duration would increase the duration of your minions if you're playing a mirror arrow trapper, which is kind of interesting. I'm not saying this is like best in slot shit. I'm not really. I'm just kind of like light theory crafting. It would also skill effect duration would increase like for duration based spells. Um, for example, if you do some stupid essence drain type deal, stuff like that. So it does affect damage over time in terms of those skills. Um, and I think it would also affect it for minions if summons. If you had like SRS traps or something, please don't do that. You could do some interesting stuff with it, but skill effect duration on a item like or on something like this is quite interesting. I think it's pretty cool. It affects a lot of duration tags. Burning Arrow Trapper is going to be pretty cool because Burning Arrow has a duration tag because of its support. But that's kind of light, very light stuff. Very not, this is definitely not viable in terms of six linking these odd skills. but it's cool. I like this. I appreciate this one being in the game. It is quite usable for a lot of the advanced traps. So moving forward. So for Fire Trap, so this is a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be. And so you guys probably know that's the only reason I'm here. I love Fire Trap. It's my favorite trap. But Jesus Christ, this is kind of insane. This is the strongest trap, at least revealed to us so far. So Fire Trap does an insane amount of damage, X to Y damage. I think the X to Y damage has been increasing substantially. Let's go and take a quick look. The original Fire Trap at level 20 was doing. Oh no, I think it's. Funny enough, it is the same. But the other mods that is doing a lot more damage with are the exto or the increased fire damage per second. The duration has been uh, lowered by a lot. It's very low, but it never needed to be very high, considering how much you can throw it now. So that doesn't matter. Modifiers to spell damage apply to this damage as skill effect damage or skill damage over time. That makes it Scorching Ray. That means a lot of synergies between the two skills. This is actually really great. This makes it such a. It makes it so. It makes it very really just a diverse skill where you have a lot of options for scaling it, and I appreciate that. And the radius has been increased as well, like they said. And this is quality, I'm sure. And then this is insane. Um, the added fire damage against burning enemies. So it has like a built-in like immolate, which you can still add immolate on top, including the trap throwing speed scaling with cast speed. Um, this is going to be very just. I imagine this could be quite insane. Being able to spam the trap over and over again, and of course, with immolate, with because immolate's only based on burning and not on igniting, so you can use like Ellie focus and stuff like that if you wanted to, just because you'll get the burning damage for free from the burning ground. So I think Fire Trap has become quite nice, and probably the craziest part about this is the 200% effectiveness of added damage. That is, it's kind of fucking nuts. I mean, I'm assuming that considering it's a trap and the cooldown and whatnot, it's not a big deal. But we're talking about the original damage effectiveness, if I'm not mistaken, was 100-ish%. Um, but I also don't even think its damage effectiveness was ever. Yeah, it wasn't even on the skill gem. So, not sure what it was before, but um, oh my god, the original base damage per second was 701. There's a lot of burning damage over time. So this just got massively buffed. I mean, I liked it before, but it's been changed in a lot of the ways that are just like more damage. I appreciate the diversity change, and I appreciate the against burning damage stuff, but this skill might be the best trap we have. I still stick behind my explosive trap though. I still think explosive trap is going to be one of the better traps, if not the best trap. But fire trap got the scorching ray treatment, so yeah, pretty cool. Um, Explosive Trap, the one that I've been looking at quite a bit. So it does a lot of physical damage, and it still has the conversion. But now it's been revealed to us quality gives increased area of effect, and you get more explosives. It's not 4, it's 7. And what's crazy about that is it was one initial explosion and then 4. Now it is one initial and 7. What that means is like you're looking at like instead of it being like 5 per trap, it's 7 per trap, and that's multiplicative. So it's like 2 more per trap now. So instead of the potential 20 explosions a cluster trap, it's gone up to 7. So that's 7, 7, 14, 28. So it's a decent amount more. I mean, I think that's going to be a big deal. Now, the effectiveness of added damage is low, but that is because it is a fire-based skill and it has conversion built into it. I'll get a little bit more into Explosive Trap because it is about my Trickster and my potential plans for the next upcoming expansion. So we'll just kind of move through this and we'll go right into what I was looking at. So you can kind of ignore the tree. This is super, like, I have no concrete ground to go on, so this is just generic shit that I put in here. Really, what I want you to pay attention to is Harness the Void. Everyone's been talking about this, so this is nothing new. Harness the Void being able to proc on every single one of those explosions is kind of a big deal. And the fact that if you have enough area of effect, you can get a lot of overlapping explosions, makes Harness the Void quite good. Now, everyone knows conversion is a little bit broken in the way that converting damage can cause a lot of silly damage multipliers that were not intended. So what does this mean? Well, Explosive Trap starts off with a 50%, with another 50% open. So 50% of it is fire. That fire can be converted to chaos, which we do with Consuming Darks in this build. And then the physical portion of it can be used with Fizz to Lightning, which is also quite nice. So with Harness the Void and Fizz to Lightning, and the basic conversion on the skill, and converting to chaos using your Consuming Darks, Harness the Void becomes a threat. It's really quite cool. So this is kind of what the build's based on, really the cornerstone of it. And then we have Prolonged Pain. So I wanted to try Poison with this build. If it works out, the duration on this and the more damage over time is quite insane. Duration is like the biggest multiplier for poisons, literally the biggest. And so it's quite nice that with Carlito's Elixir or Coralito, yeah, signature. This one is really good for any poison procking build. This is kind of a must-have unique. So this is that Diamond Flask that gives you perfect agony as well. So that's pretty cool. These other two are kind of replaceable. I like Swift Killer because you can get so many frenzy charges, and with the Slave Driver gloves, you'll be getting a shit ton of cast speed out of these. It'll be 4 times the, I think, a 6 I get. So that's 24%. Pretty cool. So 24% trap. This is basically 24% trap throwing speed and cast speed, which works with Seismic Trap, which we also use. That's pretty cool. And then just this is placeholder. It's quite good because of the cast speed, but that's it. These physical damage nodes here, these cooldown nodes that I think I won't need because I don't think moving forward cooldown is going to be required because you'll have some built-in cooldown onto advanced traps. That's another story. These poison nodes here, and the rest of this is just life and shit, might over matter, whatever. But I guess to get into the items that I was looking at, Dendro Bait is a great one. It actually is going to give you Vile Toxins, or I'm not sorry, not Vile Toxins, Lesser Poison. And it also gives you Poison Duration when you hit the Intelligence requirement. The Intelligence one is easy to get, and that's the heart. That's the one that we want the most. And the increased damage with Poison, it can be done, but it is not the required part of it. So this is pretty cool. I like this one. It gives you some pseudo links here. Yeah. We also don't need Tinkerskin anymore because trap cooldown isn't required for explosive trap. So yeah, that's like, it feels nice to not have to rely on Tinkerskin. I love Tinkerskin, but not having to rely on it is nice. So Dendro Braid's going to be an interesting one for me. I might try that. Sunblast, which is pretty cool. I only have these on all my trap builds that are not Saboteurs, just for placeholder because you may or may not need them. I have to kind of test it out and feel it through. But I've actually played Trickster Fire Trap before. I've never felt like I needed Sunblast. But with throwing so many and needing all these traps to go off, Sunblast might be a requirement here. Adziri's Promise and Coralitos. You also need a Quicksilver, or not a Quicksilver, Silver Flask for the cast speed from Onslaught would be cool. But Azuri's Promise is really nice. It's just another conversion in the chain here, which is really nice. And it actually dips quite nice because it gains a portion of your Fizz and your Elemental. So that's, of course, quite a bit of damage from Azuri's Promise alone. And the jewel choices here, so I kind of already know what people are going to say about these jewels because this is how I feel about them actually. So it's not like anyone's alone on this. I don't like unique jewels. I think they're interesting and cool, and I appreciate them. I actually use them pretty often, but I hate that really you're deciding between this either quality of life feature or build enhancing unique, or 7% life and some other basic stats that kind of push your build into the late game. And trappers have always had a hard time with nodes. With the new stuff set up, I think we're going to have so much cleared space. So just to kind of give you an idea, I didn't have to, for example, path all the way around to get this or these life nodes. We don't have to get these anymore, or I have the wrong ones. Um, we don't have to, and really we don't have to get any of these actually with this particular build, but you don't have to get clever construction anymore because of the changes they made in 3.2 or 3.1, which I talked about on an earlier video. Um, and I just kind of appreciate that, especially with the massive amount of AoE, we may not even need these nodes here. We might be able to go for some other nodes. But what I'm saying is, less nodes taken up with, the bullshit like Sapper and the crit one, because of uniques, because of ways to achieve charges and whatnot. More of it is going to be based on your items and your jewels, and so you can use some of that leeway to do things like to run these jewels here. So really what I'm saying is coded shrapnel is an option. Now I don't know if I'm going to be throwing a bunch of these in to stack a bunch of fizz damage. I don't think that's going to be the best way to do it. So just have that one in there for placeholder. And then hair trigger, which is just something I may or may not run. It may be a big deal, may not. But yeah, that's just to give you more area for the trigger. And then cheap construction, which is the duration being reduced. You might need two of these with Sunblast to kind of get them down to like almost detonating instantly, but Sunblast brings it down to a 0.8 second. So basically, you throw traps, and then a 0.8 second delay occurs, and they explode. Pretty good for just one item. So yeah, and that's kind of just my idea here. I kind of feel like Explosive Trap has more generic support from the rest of items, including stat sticks, which are going to be a big deal during the late game. So I'm pretty passionate about. Well, to give you guys an idea, I don't quite like running with what the I guess you could say meta is, and it's not because it's like, oh, I'm anti-meta type guy. It's more or less I want to go to the unexplored sectors of the game because we already know what's good, right? I mean, we've already seen Shaper die to Fire Trap and Flamethrower Trap via Ziggy D. He's given us a lot of insight on Fire Trap and Flamethrower Trap. Me doing that again, I wouldn't really be testing much. Now, there are some tests I do want to run with Fire Trap. I do want to try in a pure immolate trap throwing speed based build with Fire Trap. I do want to try a poison based consuming dark like chaos type build as well. And I also want to attempt a elementalist. Well, not elementalist. I don't want to really tag it with that, but a prolif based fire trapper build, which is kind of what I wanted to do initially. Um, but those are some other things. I don't think a pure fire trap, flamethrower trap build like Ziggy D has been doing is going to be really down my alley. I think it's a really interesting build, though. And I'm glad fire trap is actually going to be probably one of a lot of people's favorites. Um, but I guess that just means for me it's time to move on and kind of see some interesting stuff that they just came out with. So that's kind of just been the markup. I actually am going to be uploading later on a bit of a look on the Shaper gloves versus other unique gloves, or really just the slot they take up, because they are kind of they don't over centralize, and I want people to understand that. A lot of people kind of feel like those gloves are like a must for a lot of builds, and with the more traps being in the meta, you will need more rotations, which do make them powerful. But I don't personally think they're going to be like a GG, gotta have it. If you're not running these Shaper gloves, then your build isn't quite good, and I don't think that's the case. I think there are quite a bit of options. And of course, it does circle back to Slave Driver and some other unique gloves that you can run for particular builds. But I'll get into that another time. So just let me know how I'm doing, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.